Jets 10, Giants 6. Welcome to Talking Giants, presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bob Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick. And what the hell? What the hell? Talking Giants fell off. We've never not had an episode out right after a game, and we didn't have one. This beats the record for longest wait for an episode since that kid that we paid to do our videos in 2020 didn't put out the Ravens episode until noon. Justin, how are you?
Oh, wow. That's a throwback. Happy you remember that.
What was his name? I genuinely don't remember.
Krish.
It was Krish, not Chris.
He's doing very well in college right now. I think he's like a awesome. D1. He's a D1 volleyball player. Hi, Bobby Skinner. I am also in a place where I'm hoping to try and extend a little bit of a vacation for as long as possible. I actually watched a Giants game with a friend, unlike alone by myself in my living room as I'm doing clips and stuff like that. So how are you doing? I'm doing great.
Honestly, we're doing it this way. I know game recaps, we try and just get right into it, right? Like no fluff in the beginning. But this was a pretty awful preseason game. Not only did the starters not play, like most of the backups didn't play. Like 34 players didn't play. Most of those guys make up the 53-man roster. So I made the first decision. I'm like, you know what? I'm not covering the game, right? I'm not covering the game live because NASCAR came to where I live, Daytona, even though I'm an hour south of Daytona. And, man, if I didn't make that decision, which is a wild decision, it's the first time I've done it in 6 years, I would have been kicking myself because I'm a fan of maybe one of the smallest teams in NASCAR, but it's the oldest team and has so much tradition. And they were looking for their 100th win. They hadn't won since 2016, and they won. Like, literally, it's like Giants Super Bowls. And then, like, last night was, like, number 3 in my sports moment. So Harrison Burton and the Wood Brothers got the win. How about that? Going to put the die cast up there for now. And so I didn't regret my decision. I would have regretted my decision so strongly if I did.
Yeah.
Which I was leaning towards doing. And then Friday night I was like, you know what? I'm not watching I'm not going.
I was pushing you to go. I'm glad you went. Seeing your reaction, you were jumping up and down like a little kid. It was awesome, man. So I'm really happy for you. I know you've been a Wood Brothers guy for a long time. So I'm glad Harrison Burton was able to get that win. I mean, it was cool even to see Jeff Burton in the booth. If you're watching the race, it's cool to see Jeff Burton in the booth celebrate it too. Cool time. I'm really glad. I'm really glad you were there. And I'm glad you made that decision to not cover the game because the only thing that you missed really clip wise was the opportunity to say that Evan Neal was back after he allowed that sack. That was the biggest clip of the night. And I hate when clips go viral for negative reasons.
Yeah, me too. What are the freaking chances that like the one down, like the freaking Wood Brothers win? Unbelievable.
Yep.
Also, Justin, this before we get into this, because people are like, talk about the freaking New York Giants. You know how like I joke about like how I've never seen just a good driver win a race in Cup. Or even SVG is good, but so now my ratio is 4-6. So Eric Amarola has 2 wins. I've been there for 1. Ricky Stenhouse has been 2 wins. I've been there for 1. SVG has 1 win. I was there, and now Harrison Burton 1 win. I've been there. All right, let's get into it. The Giants lost to the Jets in the preseason, Justin, and we're going to do the 53-man roster stuff and all of that. The main takeaway from this, man, is like, oh God, Evan Neal's just he's really bad. He's still really bad coming back from that injury. He came back. It took him way too long to come back from the injury in the first place. And he looked really bad. And there's even been some like, oh, well, it's just the one play, right? Even though that one play was awful. I went and watched like his pass protection too. Even though it wasn't like awful results. Like you look at the stat book, it's 1 sack, 0 QB hits, 0 pressures, right? So he didn't register any quarterback hits or pressures outside of that play. It's just so obvious. Like a good defensive end, a starter, it's ripe. It's ripe for them, right? Like the first play is ripe where he just opens his shoulders. Like, man, if this was Hassan Reddick or whoever, they are jacking up that inside shoulder and throwing him to the side, and they're hitting the quarterback. And it happened again. The punch is ineffective. He's still opening his hips up on that third step. It's really bad. And it's, you know me, I've been resistant to this because I don't think it's gonna work. But put him at guard. Like it's because right now he's a wasted spot on the roster at tackle because you need to go out and get a swing tackle, whether that's Tyree Phillips or whoever. But it's over. Like there was some hope of a reclamation project of turning him into an average player or him being the swing tackle. It's, honestly, him not being ready for camp was a huge blessing for this team because it forced them to just put Jermaine Eleanor out there. It's over. Like the Evan Neal as a starting tackle for the Giants, it's done.
Yeah, it's been over. I know you held out. You didn't have hope, but you just held out.
The team had hope. They were ready to start him at the beginning of camp.
Yeah, and they did it in the spring, which is crazy that he was ready to go in the spring, and then in the summer he's not ready to go. And lo and behold, camp is basically over. And we just saw him this past week against the Jets for the first time. And Bobby, did you think he was getting out of his stance faster?
Compared to like his rookie year, yeah.
Yeah, or even compared to last year.
I think it was similar to last. I mean, that's something that he improved a lot from his rookie year to his second year. And the other thing he cruised, like his contact balance once connected was a little bit better, but it's still really bad.
I'm trying to find anything, man, and there's nothing with Evan Neal. Like the analysis, you're right. Like it's
try guard. Like you try and get something out of this asset. Try him at guard.
Yeah, which I got very unclear answers when I tried poking around myself this offseason, being like the Giants. I almost couldn't believe we were living in a world where the Giants did not tell Evan Neal to possibly prepare for life at guard. And I heard like mixed things from different people on that. So I don't know if that was ever something that he trained for this offseason or that if he's ready to do. And what I mean by ready is just like, is he ready to start practicing guard, not being a starter or anything like that? It's a weird spot, man. And Azudu's is in just of a weird of a spot where you have the 7th pick and the 67th pick of the 2022 NFL draft. They're unplayable football players. They are unplayable. And, name me another position in the NFL that's more important depth-wise than offensive line. I mean, maybe corner. It's just so important. We have 2 guys on the offensive line at depth right now that are unplayable, and that's bad.
Yeah, well, Josh Azudu shouldn't even be a tackle for one, right? Did you see the PFF run block grade today? I don't know. But he gave up 2 sacks, and I actually thought it was better than that for week 1 game. But like with the Zudu, he gave up 2 sacks, a quarterback hit, and 4 pressures in this preseason. So offensive tackles with 10 pass blocking snaps in preseason, which is going to be a lot because it's preseason. He was 148th out of 159 offensive tackles and pass blocking efficiency. And honestly, he had less of an excuse of all those other guys because they didn't have the same sample size that he did. Like all the people that are lower than him had way less pass blocking snaps. So like a couple bad plays affects that much more. I think out of 159, like the 101 to 159, I think he had like the 8th most amount of like opportunities, which again should bring his number up. Like he just doesn't belong there, right? Like you look at Neal and it's like, man, this is crazy for a top 10 pick, where it's just like it's an athletic thing. He's too top heavy type thing. With Azudu, there's nothing physical that says he's just not a tackle, which is crazy because like you should at least be letting him develop. He was already a developmental guard, and they haven't let him play guard since his rookie season, which he had his season ended early, right? So in reality, what was it, the Texans game that he left? Like of that 2022, like he hasn't played guard since then. I know he did the training camp and stuff, but like he moved the tackle right away last year. He just shouldn't be there, but he's going to make the roster, and I think he should make the roster. I actually think he's a better option to tackle than Evan Neal right now. But if Tyree Phillips is even close to what he was last year, they should be ringing up his agent right now because he's not very good, but he's a better option than these 2 at tackle.
Yeah, so it's just a really weird spot where if anybody on the offensive line goes down, I guess besides Jermaine and
The interior, because you have Stinney.
The interior you have Stinney, but let's go through the positions where if you have one starter that goes down, another starter is going to go to a different spot. So if Andrew Thomas goes down, you're putting Jermaine at left tackle, and then you're putting Evan Neal or Josh Rizzuto at right tackle. So that's a starter. But I view that as like a check. Like you have to make that move. If you have John Michael Schmitz that goes down, which he is down right now, I don't know. I don't know if we got anything back on that MRI yet.
Art said he's all right, but we'll see.
He said to Patty that he's fine, but what does that mean?
Well, Art reported that it's like it doesn't seem like anything today. But right. We'll see once week 1 preparation starts. He should be the first injury report comes out soon. So
right, but I mean, if JMS comes out, you're moving either Greg Van Roten or Runyon to center, and then Stinney comes in. So there's a lot of movement, and it feels like it's a lot of energy that's happening within that movement. When one person goes out, 2 people have to jostle around their positions. We don't have traditional backups.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
Yeah. And Azudu should just be at guard, and they should be looking to address swing tackle, whether it's the waiver wire, whether it's checking in on Tyree Phillips. Again, Tyree Phillips would be a great swing tackle. Not a great swing tackle. He's a valid swing tackle option. The issue is like how good is a player who in all reality is not good going to be coming off of that injury, right? So like it's not as easy as just calling Tyree Phillips. So we'll see how that goes.
And then also who leaves? Like that's also the question too. That's not.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. There's plenty of guys on this roster. I don't give a shit if they move off of. We'll hit that when we get to our 53. The other guy who played, the only starter who played, like you mentioned, got rolled up on and they played it safe. He said he was fine. And I could find the Art tweet next time that you're talking and find it. But John Michael Schmitz, the starting center, I actually thought he looked really good in the run game. Like he was putting guys in the dirt. Now it's backup, so he should do that. But still, like he was putting guys in the dirt. Now he had 2 pass blocking snaps, and the first one he was helping with the right guard, and he goes to the left guard, and he just kind of not whiffs, but like just his punch doesn't land, but the ball gets out. And the other one is like a good start, but like kind of let a guy get to his side. So neither snaps were really good, neither were really bad either. But I thought he looked really good in the run game. So hopefully he's healthy, because he's we'll talk about backup center. Like, we'll still have questions about him as a starter, but backup center is a huge issue right now.
Yeah, so I have that Art tweet that you were talking about. Hearing the scans came back clean for starting center John Michael Schmitz, per sources. Backs up what JMS said last night, and Giants could have a starting offensive line on the field together for the first time Tuesday, with Runyon set to return at left guard. This is a sort of bye week of sorts, so we'll see. Yeah, but they haven't had the projected starting 5 has not practiced together yet this summer. So.
Yeah, which again, it's due to injury,
right?
Mainly due to John Michael Smith's injury, and then John Runyon, got injured as soon as JMS was ready to come back. But it's the starters. I'm not. Those are the 5. Stinney's a solid backup guard in the NFL. It's just, and it's not even I'm worried so much about swing tackle, even though I am. Right? There was a tweet that went pretty big of me like talking about it. It's like, once again, Bobby looking for that swing tackle, but it's just. Last night was like, we were like 90% sure, like, all right, this is never going to work out, Evan Neal. And then last night was just literally the final nail in the coffin. It's like, this is it. Like we really did just completely waste the 7th overall pick, which is very frustrating. Like it's awful for Joe Shane and his job. Me and you both really wanted Evan Neal too. It just sucks all around, because that we should be talking about having great tackles, and instead it's like, Jermaine Eleanor is a great signing, right? Like in reality, we shouldn't have had to make that signing in Jermaine Eleanor. And we're just sitting here with like, we busted the 7th overall pick. Like it's the same as the Eli Apple pick.
Yeah, I'd say even worse.
Yeah, it is worse, but it's just like, this sucks. Like I haven't gotten over that, right? I know it's been 2 years and I've accepted that reality, but when it really is just like, yeah, this is totally done. It's a shame. But I would try moving him to guard. I don't think
Oh,
that's
you
going to
you
turn
have
him.
to. You have to.
Yeah. Like I think you have to too, as well. Other notes from the offense. Jake Kubis, man, I think he needs to start working at center. One, because of Austin Schlottman being awful. Um, but I thought he had a good preseason, right? He was in our guys to watch for in this preseason. You know, he was our top UDFA just in this year. Um, and this is you get interior guys as UDFAs. I know the Giants haven't gotten any UDFAs to really hit in a long time. You know, there's been guys you get excited for, and then when it all pans out, you don't. Like the last UDFA hit for the Giants was Nick Gates. Um, and I think he needs. I think put him on the practice squad if you don't put him on the active roster. You don't. You're not going to lose him on waivers. Um, and start letting him practice at center and guard, right? Turn him into an interior offensive lineman, let him get center snaps. Because I was really impressed, and I hope he doesn't have to play this year, but I was impressed with Jay Kubis. And I'm excited for him to get a year in the system and grow as a football player. And then next year is like, okay, what do we have in this guy type of off season for Jay Kubis?
I've gone back and forth on Kubis. I don't want to shoot my load a little too early on the 53-man roster thing, but I think he has deserved a spot. If we want to start not building a culture, if we want to have a culture where if guys play well in training camp and if they play well throughout the summer and they get to earn a spot, I think Jake Kubis has earned a roster spot. And this isn't even me looking at it through rose-colored glasses of, oh, this guy's a UDFA and a guy like Austin Schlottman is just a free agent that we picked up from another team. No, I think Jake Kubis has legitimately earned a roster spot on this team, and I think he deserves to keep it. So while I agree with you that if we were to cut him, he would make his way to the practice squad, and then we can elevate him and he can be there. Sure, but I think he's actually earned it.
I do too, but I just think he's someone that you do put on the and one I want him working on the practice squad mostly, anyways. But like, and we don't need to worry about spoiling the 53-man roster stuff. We could talk about that. Like, I don't think him or Schlottman makes it because I think they're gonna focus on other guys making the roster. They know they can get Kubis to the practice squad, and then Schlottman. I think Schlottman gets cut. Like it was really bad. But I would almost rather just keep Schlottman because you do have someone who's actually started games at center in the NFL to be that backup center. Even if you did do the moving parts thing, but for that single game, not having to move a guy to center, say it's for 25, 30 snaps in a game because JMS gets injured in the beginning of the third quarter, having Schlottman on the roster over, keeping a QB3, let's say, which we'll talk about. But I'm not worried about putting Kubis. I don't think it's been that great of a preseason where it's like you got to get this guy on the 53 this year. But and I'm not. I really hope we don't see him this year because I think if you see him against NFL starters this year, it's going to look really bad.
Yeah,
but he's someone like, all right, good year one preseason. We're gonna put you on the practice squad, reevaluate, and see how you look year two. Can you be our first backup interior guy next year? Could you challenge for a starting spot if Greg Van Roten's not back and whatever happens? So I was happy with him. The other guy I was really happy with on offense is Jakob Johnson, the fullback. Right?
Oh,
He
yeah.
played like you saw the effects of having a fullback on the roster, right? And two plays that I posted clips of. And again, Jakob Johnson is not like the best fullback in the league, or he would be signed, right? He's not Alec Ingold, he's not Kyle Juszczyk, he's not those guys, but he's a solid fullback. And it shows the value of having someone who plays just that position on your team. There was early in the game, there's a play that would have been a tackle for loss because Josh Azudu got beat inside. Jakob Johnson, instead of picking up the linebacker, which was supposed to be an ISO, he picks up that guy. Dante Miller is able to have a 3-yard run. So you take a tackle for loss and take it to a 3-yard run. Next, we run one of my least favorite plays in the NFL to run on fourth down, a toss on 4th and 2. You have a linebacker who gets past the offensive lineman who's pulling, and it probably would have been a tackle for a loss. Instead, he makes the block on that, and Dante Miller or Joshua Kelly gets the first down. and has that play. So very happy. I will, because they didn't sign him late into camp and he's playing in this game. So if you weren't like invested like us, you'd be like, oh, this guy probably doesn't make the team, right? I will be angry if he doesn't make the team.
I think he is. I don't want to say it's a lock, but I think he is making the team.
He should.
I don't think they signed him for no reason.
Yeah, and I don't think he shows up here if he's not a lock for the roster, but he belongs on the team. Not much.
But I agree with you, by the way. Like, 'cause I had that tweet last night where I think, there was that one drive where, on the fourth down that they don't convert. It was a run the damn ball drive, and Jakob Johnson was in either as like this inline tight end or in as the fullback. I think Jakob Johnson could help transform the Giants' running game, especially on early downs this year. Or forget early down, for any context. The goal line, red zone, fourth down, or early downs, third and short. I feel like any context that you can have a fullback in there, it will help transform. And even if it doesn't make you like, oh, this explosive unit, I feel like it can limit and prevent those negative runs and make a play that's stopped at the line of scrimmage, maybe doesn't go anywhere, and it gets 3-4 yards and you pick up a first down. That's where I feel like Jakob Johnson's impact can really be felt, and that's where I felt like it was felt last night in the little offensive efficiency that the Giants had somewhat early on in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I don't think he's one of these top fullbacks that can, Patrick Ricard, who can like really, really put your run game on another level. I just think it helps your run game not have the disasters in those those obvious run situations. And like it allows you to just do more as a run unit. Like, and you saw it happen. You saved from disaster plays in the run game. I just really like having a fullback on the roster. All the best offensive minds in the NFL also agree with this.
Yep.
Basically the only like top offensive mind who doesn't keep a fullback is like Sean McVay, but he also drafts wide receivers who can block like crazy, right? So there's a even not having that, there's a value on what those guys do. And then I think Andy Reid, I don't think they have a fullback anymore now that they don't have Anthony Sherman's gone. Like, do the Chiefs still have a fullback? I don't know. Maybe they do. Other notes, John Giles, who was cut. I hope he makes it on the practice squad, even though I don't think he's ever going to make it in the NFL, just simply because the guy can make a freaking highlight, right? Jumping over a dude. Yesterday had that stiff arm last week on the fumble. He's basically a highlight or a negative play. Like, there's no in between. Yeah. And that's what showed up at West Florida. Like, I watched one full game of West Florida, I think, versus FAMU. It's like he had this nice big-ass play. He also had 2 drops in that game. And he had a drop yesterday. He had a fumble last week, but he also put up, 220 yarders in his last 2 games.
Dan Duggan called him chaotic, which I liked.
That's a great description for him.
Yeah.
Your boy Ayir Asante, Justin.
We don't need to talk about it.
Also, when we're going to do a recap at the very end of post-COVID preseason stats, he is 1 catch for 0 yards. So he's literally the worst for people who have caught a ball in post-COVID.
Okay, preseason. But it's for people who caught a football, and Ayir Asante caught a football.
Yeah, like out of like 40 people.
Not a lot. Only 40 people can say that post-COVID.
Are you worried about Isaiah McKenzie continuing to muff punts?
Yes. Like
if Gunnar Olszewski's not healthy, I'm worried about that punt returner spot.
Can we just find somebody to not do this every year? This is a problem every year. And I can't even blame the Giants for not doing their due diligence. Eric Wright did it in college. Isaiah McKenzie did it previously. And every year it just feels like it's a freaking issue. Gunnar get healthy. That's it.
Yeah.
Gunnar get healthy.
We need Gunnar. All right, defensively. I mean, really, it's just kind of the guys up front that made some plays, like Benton Whitley and Timon Fox. Whitley had a sack and a half, 1 QB hit, a pressure, and tackle for loss, even drew a holding call. Timon Fox, 1 sack, 2 big hits, 3 pressures, 2 tackles for loss. Do you think, because Boogie Basham was playing as well, too, and Boogie Basham's actually had a pretty good preseason.
Yeah.
Aziz is the third edge. He's making the team. He rested. Like, who would you pick as your 4th edge?
Oh, all right, so I'll answer that question first, and then I want to talk about Aziz. I would pick. They're going to pick Boogie Basham. They mention him in Hard Knocks. He's a former Bills guy. They're going to pick Boogie Basham. But Benton Whitley has, like, wowed.
And he plays special teams.
He's wowed, you know?
Yeah, but so has Fox too, right? And we've always kind of liked that Fox rushes with the plan. And both Whitley and Fox play special teams. I don't know how much you're getting out of Boogie on specials. But I would give Whitley or Fox the nod over Boogie Basham at this point.
I think they are better than him.
Well, I just think they both rush with the plan. Where Boogie Basham, even though he's has had a solid preseason, there's just no pass rush repertoire there for him.
No,
right, and he's not as good of a run defender like Jihad Ward was, even though he's changed to Jihad Ward's number and wears the the black hoodie underneath his practice uniform.
Yep.
I would I think that's really the one position, because honestly, preseason football has not made many decisions for me of what I would do for the 53-man roster. I think this fourth edge spot is really where I would let preseason football make a big difference for me.
Can we talk about Aziz?
Yeah, Aziz didn't play. Talk about Aziz.
The Giants flip him for a 6th-round pick. Are you mad?
Yeah.
Yeah? Why?
I listen, and I don't have. Aziz has had a bad summer. Undoubtedly, right? That first preseason game was really bad, and the second one wasn't much better. But a guy who's had that type of production, no, I'm not. No, I'm not letting frustration in the moment trade a guy for a 6th-round pick. If you say, "Hey, I'm trading him for a backup corner," something that I know there's going to be some use out of, or maybe something like that, sure, I can get behind it. It sucks, but no, I'm not trading him for a throwaway pick.
And Isaiah, I kind of use the
would
Isaiah.
Would you trade Aziz Ojulari for Trey Hawkins?
No.
Okay.
But I mean, but here's the thing. I don't know if Aziz has anything left, man.
I don't know. Now, hey, in Detroit, the Detroit joint practices, he showed good bend and stuff. He did flash a little bit early on in camp. I agree, right? I'm just as frustrated, but I'm not trading him. I'm not letting my frustration trade him for a 6th-round pick.
Okay.
I just don't think
this is his contract year, right? So this is it. The only time that you could get any kind of value out of him.
Yeah. I'm just not trading him for a 6th-round pick.
Yeah. If you were talking Cardinals last year, do you like the process of trading away a guy like Isaiah Simmons for a 7th-round pick or not?
Yeah, because Simmons sucked. He was never good for them.
Aziz sucked last year.
Yeah. One out of his 3 seasons he sucked. The other 2 years he was good.
Yeah.
And he was
ironically enough, the most healthy year for Aziz was the year that he kind of sucked. I guess his rookie year he was relatively healthy. Yeah.
Right. So
weird spot.
I'm just not doing it for a 6th-round pick.
Okay.
You could sell me on something. You could sell me on some type of Aziz Ojulari trade, but just a throwaway? No, I'm not doing that.
Okay.
Especially when you think about the other guys they have at edge. If they had other options. I mean, we just talked about Timon Fox and Ben Whitley making the roster. So those guys, he looked good. I actually thought Casey Rogers had a pretty decent preseason. He looked good. He's honestly looked better than Jordan Riley, who Jordan Riley's on the roster bubble. Played until the 4th quarter. He's actually, compared to last preseason, he's looked pretty bad. I know he had a half sack last night, but Jordan Riley has not looked good this preseason. And he is that 5th defensive tackle for them. He's looked bad. I know people will be a little bummed if he doesn't make the roster, but I don't know. Maybe the draft profile that we had on him was correct, but he just hasn't looked good. Darnay Holmes goes off into the Giants' sunset with a missed tackle on that Izzy touchdown. It's going to be sad when we get that Darnay Holmes' cut thing. Not really, but us, Jim. for the listener, like, you're going to be sad? Yes. Anytime the Giants lose a drafted player there's like a little bit of you that dies. Even Marcus McKeithen today. I was pretty anti-Marcus McKeithen. A little part of me died when he got cut. And then KJ Cloyd out of Miami, 16 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. I actually didn't think
he had the half of his life.
Yeah. He's actually not that good of a tackler, though. Like, he puts his head down, he like goes for the legs, but he had a good game, so good for him. Do you have any other notes from the game before we do the 53-man roster?
No, bad game, not a fun game.
All right, Justin. So next time people listen to us, besides a player profile episode, they're going to have a lot of probably going to be breaking down some new players. But right now, we do have a 53-man roster to get to. Justin, why don't you talk to us about something before that?
And I'll talk to you about something. I'll talk to you about the DraftKings Sportsbook. Have you been hungry for some college football? Will we finally get a little bit of a taste this weekend? Don't miss any of the action. Jump in at the DraftKings Sportsbook. It's a small but mighty slate of games for Week 0, including a big matchup in Ireland that already happened if you watched Georgia Tech. And I was watching the game. Georgia Tech and Florida State came down to the wire, and it was an awesome game. So, hey, Rutgers is playing Howard. If you're not in the state of New Jersey, you can bet on that. Bet the house on Rutgers. And if you're a newbie, you can get into the college spirit. Here's something extra special. New DraftKings customers, you bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Enjoy the ride. Now all the way through the expanded playoffs. Hello, score big with DraftKings all college football season long. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code WORLD. That's code WORLD for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY.
Hey, I want you to enjoy this disclaimer.
Yeah, this could be the last time that we read a disclaimer unless we do like live episodes like this. So 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gambling resources, see dkng.co/ftball. Bobby Skinner, you'll be glad you did.
Be glad you did. That's a good way to just be like, hey, remember what you're listening to. Ad placement, Talking Giants. All right, 53-man roster. This is how I want to go because I don't want to do like a 53-man roster total episode. So I have my prediction, right? We usually do like what we would do. So I have my prediction. So we can quickly go both through ours, and then we could talk about like the ones we would agree with and what we would change. So here's my prediction for offense, and we'll just both read each other's offense. Quarterback, I think they keep 3. Jones, Locke, DeVito. Running back, Singletary, Tracy Gray. Fullback, Jakob Johnson. Tight end, Theo Johnson, Daniel Bellinger, Chris Manhertz. Wide receiver, Malik Neighbors, Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson, Jalen Hyatt. I think they keep Isaiah Hodgins, even though he may be gone. I think they keep him. They like him. All the reporters say Miles Boykin, like for special teams and stuff. I don't pay attention to that much. I think he makes it. Gunnar Olszewski, I do think he makes it because of Isaiah McKenzie's struggles. Offensive tackle, Andrew Thomas, Jermaine Eleanor, Evan Neal, and now Josh Azudu is a tackle now. Guard, John Runyon, Greg Van Roten, Aaron Stinney. Center, John Michael Schmitz, and that's it for offense. So I have 25 offensive players. What do you have?
I also have 25 offensive players, and it's very similar to you. Jones, Locke, DeVito. Singletary, Tracy Gray. Jakob Johnson's a fullback. Neighbors, Hyatt, Slayton, Robinson, Hodgins, and I have McKenzie, but also like what is the status of Gunnar Olszewski?
Yeah, that's if Gunnar Olszewski's injured, then I put Isaiah McKenzie. But yeah,
so I'm utilizing that spot as the Gunnar or Isaiah McKenzie spot, depending on if Gunnar's ready to go for week 1. Tight ends, I have 3. Theo Johnson, Chris Manhertz, Daniel Bellinger. And then offensive line, I have 9. I have Thomas, Runyon, JMS, Greg Van Roten, Elamunor, Neal, Ozudu, Stinney. And then the last one that I have is Jay Kubis. I think that he earned his roster spot this summer.
So how many offensive linemen do you have?
I have 9.
Okay, yeah, you do. I have 8. Okay, I thought I had 9 too. All right, so yeah. So
What was the extra position that you kept an additional guy?
I kept Miles Boykin for wide receiver because
So you have 7 wide receivers.
Yeah, supposedly he's like a special teams cog for them.
All right.
Which again, I don't know, but reading to people's tea leaves, this is just my prediction. This is not what I would do. Defensively, so we both have 25 as well. On the D line, Dexter Lawrence, Nacho, DJ Davidson, Elijah Chapman. I do have Jordan Riley making it as the 5th. Edge, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, Kayvon Aziz Ojulari. You know that Twitter account, Kayvon Ojulari, messed me up right there. Boogie Basham. Linebacker, I do have 6 for prediction. Bobby Okereke, Micah McFadden, Darius Moassau, Isaiah Simmons. Carter Coughlin for specials. And then they did give Matthew Adams $1 million guaranteed, which is shocking to me. So I have him making as a special team. Cornerback, Deontay Banks, Cordell Flott, Andrew Phillips, Nick McLeod, Trey Hawkins, Trey Herndon. Safety, Tyler Newbin, Jason Pinnock, Dane Belton. And then Javarius Owens, which Owens was like viewed as like a roster bubble, but they don't have any other safeties. Unless you really think Alex Johnson's the next safety, and then the 3 special guys. Who do you have?
Yeah, so the 5 defensive linemen I have is Dex, Nacho, Elijah Chapman, Riley, and Davidson. This is one of the positions that I think I'm willing to swap out Davidson or Chapman for a waiver claim.
What about Riley? They like those other 2 better than Riley.
But Riley's the backup. What's being lost in all of this is that Jordan Riley seems to be the backup nose tackle.
DJ Davidson plays a lot of nose tackle.
Jordan
Riley was a healthy scratch last year on the team.
Again, I know
and Leonard Williams weren't nose tackles.
I know Jordan Riley didn't look great, but I still prefer Jordan Riley as a backup nose tackle than DJ Davidson. We're not talking about a great situation. So those are the 5, but with the intention of any of the bottom 3 guys can be swapped out. Edge rushers, I have 4: Burns, Tibbs, Ojulari, and my prediction is Boogie Basham. What I prefer is somebody different, but my prediction is Boogie Basham. Interior linebackers, I'm carrying 5. This is the spot more than any that this is going to depend on the health of everybody. Is Micah McFadden ready to go? What is Deontay Johnson's injury looking like? Like this is the interior linebacker right. Is the spot that I have the least amount of knowledge on right now because of what's the health of everybody. So
let's just pretend everyone gets ready for week 1 for this.
All right. Then I have 5. Okereke, McFadden, Deontay Johnson, Moassau, and Matthew Adams. I do not have Carter Coughlin making it. Cornerbacks, I'm carrying 7. And this is another one where we're looking for a waiver claim, obviously. Banks, Flott, McLeod, Drew Phillips, Trey Hawkins, Isaiah Simmons, technically. And then I would prefer David Long Jr. over Trey Herndon. So I'll put David Long Jr. here instead of Trey Herndon.
That's your prediction? Because Herndon didn't play yesterday.
They have enough slot corners. Go get an outside corner. I don't think either of them are going to make the team because there's going to be a waiver claim that's going to fill their spot. Safety, Newbin, Pinnock, Belton, and Javarius Owens. Those are the 4.
Okay, so we don't have much differences for what our predictions. Here is what I would do. I don't care that you gave $1 million to Matthew Adams. Micah McFadden is dealing with it. I know, but all 3 of these guys that are in this discussion right now are injured. But inside linebacker, the first backup inside linebacker should be Deontay Johnson, right? He was practicing with the first team on day 1 of training camp. That guy, this isn't just because Deontay Johnson will pass waivers and go to the practice squad. I don't give a shit. If Micah McFadden gets injured week 1, I want Deontay Johnson out there. That's more important than the $1 million guaranteed you gave to Matthew Adams special team. So Deontay Johnson would be that. I would keep Isaiah McKenzie over Miles Boykin because he could at least be your backup slot wide receiver, and he does give you some special value. The other one, maybe they cut Isaiah Hodgins. I would definitely. Did you keep Hodgins?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely keep him. I like having at least one spot where the depth is really good. I would do Bent Whitley over Boogie Basham. And then I would keep one of Schlottman. I would probably keep Schlottman knowing I could get Kubis on the practice squad over Tommy DeVito. Like, part of me does love the whole Tommy DeVito thing, but I'm not keeping a third quarterback.
I think they have to keep 3 right now. Right now, they have to keep 3.
They're talking like Drew Lock's ready for week 1. Now, if he's not ready for week 1, then I agree with you. But if he's ready for week 1, like, I'm just not living in fear of Tommy DeVito going to another team.
No, I'm not
living in fear of my third quarterback.
I'm not talking about living in fear of losing Tommy DeVito to another team. I'm talking about living in fear of possibly losing 2 quarterbacks in one game.
Okay, so that's just a different philosophy.
Because they lost Drew Lock pretty quick in the preseason game. You're probably
losing that game anyways, though.
You're losing. Well, I'm just talking about getting through the football game. So who's your emergency quarterback? I don't want to have that conversation in the middle of the game.
Yeah, but there's the large majority of teams carry 2 QBs, and how often you lose 2 QBs in one game? I know the Giants had it happen to them like 2 years ago, but it's just so rare that I'm not. Like, I'm more worried about 2 offensive linemen getting injured in one game and being like, who knows how to snap a football, which is Austin Slauson. And then, those are basically like the prediction versus what I would do. I don't see there being any type of like controversial. The only controversial thing, because this is year 3 of a regime, which we haven't seen in a long time, right? So it's like, get ready to never have controversial cutdown day. DeVito, for obvious reasons. But that's just controversial for who he is as like a figure on the team. And then who? Like, is there anything that they invested in this guy and he's gone? Like Aziz Ojulari? Yeah, and again, I just did not happen. Bellinger's not happening. So I don't see much fireworks. I think the fireworks are coming on the waiver claims. I think there's gonna be a lot of new faces on this team. And I think there's going to be a lot of new faces on the practice squad as well, too. I don't think it's just going to be 16 guys from the Giants. I think it might be 9 guys from the Giants, 7 guys from other teams. Like I think 4 of those guys will end up being on the active roster at some point. Like, I think this roster is going to change up a lot, which is honestly a shitty feeling because this roster is not very good, but it is where we're at, Justin.
And it's year 3.
Yep. Yes, it is. All right,
Justin. They restructured Andrew Thomas's contract for a reason, and I don't think that was to go out and make a big move. I think it was to go out and make all these small moves and make sure that they have the maneuverability that they can, and then also so that they can get through this year as well. So, because there's going to be, even with all of these processes of cutting guys with, some of these guys have dead money attached to them and shit like that. It'll be about getting through this year and bringing new people on this team too. And so. That's what we got to do.
Yep. All right, Justin. Do you have anything else? Because I do have one little thing I want to do at the end to wrap up preseason.
No, I'm excited to hear this little. Are you going to go through the stats?
Not all of them, but I'm going to update your leaders because we're not going to get this until next year. So we've been keeping stats or track of every stat, including tackles. Right? We have guys with 1 tackle. We have like 10 guys with 1 tackle. We tweeted out from the Talking Giants account. Of preseason post-COVID stats, right? So 2019 was the last year of 4 game preseasons. 2020, they didn't have preseason because of COVID. So it's post-COVID preseason stats. So the 3 game schedule. It's going to suck when this goes to 2 games eventually because the NFL is a bunch of greedy pieces of shit. Passing for the Giants. Tommy DeVito is your leader with 723 yards. Now, DJ has a lot more yards per attempt, but he has 196 yards over Daniel Jones. I expect that to stay the same because Daniel Jones, I mean, think about it. That's a thought. Daniel Jones may never play another preseason for the Giants. DeVito's going to hold that. Rushing. Jashaun Corbin remains to hold the title. I didn't think he would because I thought Gray would go get it. He leads in rushing with 124 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. 16 over Dante Miller, 18 over Eric Gray, and 26 over Tommy DeVito. I do think that one's going down next year because 2 of those 3 are most likely going to be on the roster, and Gray or DeVito. Receiving, this one I think is going to stand another year through 2025. David Sills, 21 catches, 268 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The only guy in the Alex Bachman's number 2. There's a picture of him going around. It's like, where's Waldo in this one? Eric Gray is third with he's 142 yards back. I don't think that record's going down next year. Tackles, we have a new winner. I'm really sad Carter Coughlin didn't play any in this preseason because he could have fucking set himself apart because he was the leader going in tackles, sacks, and tackles for loss. Even the leader going into this last preseason game. Darian Beavers passed him in tackles. He has 23. Coughlin has 22 and didn't play this preseason. Sacks, Benton Whitley took the lead with 2.5. He passes Carter Coughlin, who was tied for second now with Timon Fox with 2. And then Carter Coughlin and Timon Fox have the tackle for a loss lead at 4. So Coughlin gets it. Fox ties Coughlin this preseason. And then interceptions. We only had 1 interception this preseason. Trey Herndon had 1. So Austin Calitro, the king of the revenge games, is still your leader with 2. Justin, which one of these piques your interest the most?
Receiving yards that David Sills will probably hold it for the next 2 years.
Oh, it's untouchable. Like there's no one that even came close to a David Sills preseason this year.
I actually think that David Sills, there's a chance that there's a better chance than not that maybe he finds his way back into the organization.
DJ year 7, David Sills gets back. How about that?
Yeah. They still hang out.
DJ's worst ball was with David Sills gone. Think about that.
Think about it.
Think about that decision. New York football. Think about how great the preseason was last year. David Sills was here.
Did you talk about passing touchdowns?
No, I actually could pull up passing touchdowns
because that's pretty. If you really, it is pretty pathetic. They didn't have a passing touchdown this preseason, so you don't even need to think about that.
Oh, that's crazy. So their leader post-COVID.
Hey, granted, they had the 50-yard Darius. I didn't like seeing that stat go around today because they had the 50-yard play to Darius Slayton, and then the 1-yard run by Motor. So
preseason, right. Even though we keep track, preseason stats are a little meaningless. Davis Webb is the leader with 3. He also had 5. Davis Webb completed 74% of his passes in preseason with 5.6 yards per attempt. You know how hard that is to do? You know how short every pass has to be completing 3/4 of them and be 5.6 yards per attempt?
He knew that offense, though.
Here's something. Drew Lock had the worst. We thought Clayton Thorson was bad. Actually, Clayton Thorson was worse. Nah, Clayton Thorson didn't have an interception. Drew Lock, 4 of 10, 40%, 17 yards, 1.7 yards per attempt, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Made Brian Lewerke look like a king. Who was Clayton Thorson's 1 touchdown to?
What year?
This guy had a good game for the Bengals in the 2019 preseason against the Giants.
Against the Giants? No, I don't know. What year?
Damian Willis. He was the first guy. He took number 87 when Sterling Shepard switched to number 3. He's high in the receiving list. He's 5th. He's right after Colin Johnson, Eric Gray 3rd. All right. Yes. We're not looking because this is a podcast. We're not looking at the chat, but I am now because the show's over and our friend Nate Talks Football. It's like I jump into a stream for the first time in years and Clayton Thorson discourse. Yes. So if you jump into it late because we don't usually live stream podcasts, start from the beginning. You don't start a podcast at the 42nd.
And like the stream, please. That would be great.
Yeah, please like and subscribe. All right, so we will see you guys on the next episode. So last week of player profiles this week, so those will be going out. And then Friday we will do our whole 53-man roster, new waiver edition. So that's a kind of a can't miss episode because it's basically like, hey, here's these new 5 players on your team. Get to know them. We'll get you to know them. We've done pretty good on those episodes. Like we perfectly told you what Quincy Roche was. Jason Pinnock, we told you what he was. So we've done pretty good on the waiver wire episodes. Even Simmons and Boogie last year, they weren't waiver wires.
Give us a timeline of what to expect this week. Not from us, but I'm just talking about because I even need a refresher of this too.
Yeah,
Of
so
like the Giants.
cut down day is Monday, tomorrow, today, whenever you're listening, at 4 o'clock. The Giants practice at 1:30, so you'll probably get all of that around then. Or no, their first practice is I think it's Monday at 1:30. I don't know. So cut down. Actually, am I getting this wrong?
Uh-oh. I thought you had it all together.
Oh my god. Cut down day, because this cut down day might be Tuesday.
I think it's Tuesday.
Yeah, it is Tuesday because that's their first. Okay, so I'm an idiot. We need to get a lot of work done tomorrow, Justin, by the way, because I'm going to be swamped once the waiver wire happens Wednesday. All right, so cut down day is Tuesday at 4 o'clock. Giants have practice at 1:30, so that'll all happen by then. And then 4 o'clock on Wednesday is when we'll hear about the guys rewarded off waivers. So then we'll go into film mode. Maybe we'll get one film breakdown out for you. So that's when it is. I can't believe I messed that up. Thank you for asking me that, because I kind of was like in the mode of like tomorrow, wake up, cut down day.
No.
All right, we'll see you then. Until then, let's go Big Blue.